Gaza. The name alone suffices. The images it invokes are daunting, which means everybody knows the truth. And yet Gaza still bleeds, still burns, still buries its sons and daughters when it has the luxury of doing so. Israel banned international media to prevent the images from reaching you. But Palestinian journalists and simple citizens recorded the crimes. They sometimes were killed for what they documented, and sometimes documented their very own death. They thought at first that if these images reached the world, it would not allow the genocide to continue. Now the survivors are recording, so the true tale of their massacre survives them. Protection of civilians. Which civilians? Does that concern Palestinian civilians? Israel deprived all of them, every single one of them, of protection. In its book, in its cynical narrative, it promotes the idea that they are all either terrorists or human shields. In the first case, they deserve to die. In the second, Israel cannot be blamed for their death. Never mind that it uses one-ton bombs obliterating entire neighborhoods. Never mind that it's imposing a blockade over the entire civilian population. Never mind it is flattening all of Gaza. For 20 months now, daily atrocities have occurred under our watch and before our very eyes. No protection for Palestinian civilians. All protection for Israeli perpetrators. The whole world chants for Gaza, weeps for Gaza, aches for Gaza, is outraged by what is happening in Gaza. But the people in Gaza, the children of Gaza, have no use for our chants, for our tears, and for our outrage if they are not accompanied by actions that could actually stop the killing, feed the hungry, heal the wounded, save those who can still be saved. We demanded the unhindered supply of humanitarian aid to Gaza. We've been demanding it for 20 months. We've been demanding it after Israel blocked all aid for the last 2 months. But the only unhindered supply to Gaza are bombs. Everything else is lacking. Water, food, shelter, medicine, fuel, cooking gas, flour, and hope. The whole world stands with Gaza, and yet Gaza stands alone. All this solidarity from across the globe, and yet we can't help a father begging for help as his child is burning before his eyes, as he sees his skin melting, and can only watch him as he shouts in pain. Flames and hunger devouring Palestinian children. And we all agree, it's shameful, it's unbearable, it's unacceptable. Leaders are using words they never used, considering decisions that are unprecedented. But much more is needed to break the siege and save the people. Much more is needed, and we are already late, very late. What are we going to say? That the whole world was opposed to mass indiscriminate killing, but it continued anyways? The whole world was opposed to wanton destruction, but stayed until all of Gaza was flattened? The whole world was outraged by the use of starvation as a method of war and the declared blockade, but could not lift it? That it's ultimately for Israel to decide who lives and who dies? If that's our plan, God have mercy over the 2 million people in Gaza. How come all of us cannot stop the bombs decimating families and destroying communities? How come we cannot stop the sniper's bullets before they are lodged in a little girl's head? That we cannot get a painkiller to a child being amputated, bring milk in to feed a starving child, or a loaf of bread to save a life? How come we still can't? We should never believe the tale of our own powerlessness. Never believe that we are powerless. We cannot leave the fate of 2 million people saying we tried and failed, because that means they are doomed. We fought for 20 months against the dehumanization of Palestinians that made their mass killing acceptable. But we must war now against relying on Palestinian heroism, as seeing them as heroes might mean we forget they are humans, they are bleeding, they are exhausted, they are shattered, they are victims. We failed the dead, let us not fail the survivors. 1 million child in Gaza will need several lives to recover from what they witnessed and endured. But they can still be alive tomorrow if we act today. Once the world has recognized the genocide, it cannot continue watching it unfold. We cannot wait, we cannot resign, we cannot surrender. We must dare and do what is necessary to end the genocide and break the siege. Maybe then we can save the survivors. Save Gaza, so we may all be saved by Gaza. Save Gaza, save the children of Gaza, so we may all be saved by Gaza. Thank you.
Palestinians in Gaza are enduring what may be the cruelest phase of this cruel conflict. For nearly 80 days, Israel blocked the entry of life-saving international aid. As the world's leading hunger assessment found, the entire population of Gaza is facing the risk of famine. Families are being starved and denied the very basics, all with the world watching in real time. Israel has clear obligations under international humanitarian law. It must treat civilians humanely, with respect for their inherent dignity. It must not forcibly transport, deport, or displace the civilian population of an occupied territory, and as the occupying power, it must agree to allow and facilitate the aid that is needed. Finally, a trickle of aid has crossed over. In recent days, almost 400 trucks were cleared for entry to Gaza through the Kerem Shalom crossing. But supplies from only 115 trucks have been able to be collected, and nothing has reached the besieged north. We are working around the clock to get whatever aid we can to people in need. And we managed to distribute some wheat, flour, baby food, nutrition supplements, and medicines. At long last, a few bakeries in South and Central Gaza are operating. But let us not forget that we are operating in the middle of a military operation. In any case, all the aid authorized until now amounts to a teaspoon of aid when a flood of assistance is required. The needs are massive, and the obstacles are staggering. Strict quotas are being imposed on the goods we distribute, along with unnecessary delay procedures. Other essentials, including fuel, shelter, cooking gas, and water purification supplies, are prohibited. We continue to request for safety and security mitigation measures to be in place for our convoys. Our staff life is at risk if we continue to be prevented from distributing food parcels and wheat flour directly to people in desperate need. Without those, and in the absence of the rule of law and a desperate population after months of blockade and totally insufficient supply entering, the risk of security incidents and looting remains high. Meanwhile, the Israeli military offensive is intensifying with atrocious levels of death and destruction. Today, 80% of Gaza has been either designated an Israeli militarized zone or an area where people have been ordered to leave. In other words, 4/5 of the territory of Gaza is a no-go zone for the people of Gaza. And so, beyond questions about the particular number of trucks at any particular moment, it is important to stay fixed on the big picture. And the big picture is that without rapid, reliable, safe, and sustained aid access, more people will die, and the long-term consequences on the entire population will be profound. The United Nations has been clear. We will not take part in any scheme that fails to respect international law and the humanitarian principles of humanity, impartiality, independence, and neutrality. And we have been equally clear about what is needed: a permanent ceasefire, the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages, and full humanitarian access. The United Nations and our partners have a detailed, principled, operationally sound 5-stage plan supported by member states to get aid to a desperate population. A mechanism to ensure the delivery of aid to Gaza, inspect and scan aid at crossing points, transport aid from crossing points to humanitarian facilities, prepare aid for onward distribution, and transport aid to people in need. We have the personnel, the distribution networks, the systems and community relationships in place to act. The supplies, 160,000 pallets, enough to fill nearly 9,000 trucks, are waiting. This is my appeal for life-saving aid for the long-suffering people of Gaza. Let's do it right, and let's do it right away. Thank you.